Now one might say I'm pretty late to the game on the TRM Atom scene here. I think noted game streamer, Nick Shabazz, or is it Shabazz, and Cedric from Cedric and Ada fame have propelled the Atom into the EDC IG Pocket Dump stratosphere. It's everywhere. A hot item that all the Knife Bro basics now want, and I'll say it's for pretty good reason. Because an influencer said so. So, also it's a good knife. Me, on the other hand, I can't even call it the right knife. A follower on Instagram sold it to me a few months ago, and I've repeatedly called it the Neutron because I don't treat this hobby with the respect it deserves. But the big difference is, and I did 2 minutes of research, so hopefully this would jog my memory when I said the name. So let's do a mental trick here. To help us remember, the Neutron is the smaller knife because it's part of the atom. You get it? Science can be fun. I had to look that up.
Science is bullshit!
The Atom is a winning combination of high-end blade steel, large neutral grip area. That large neutral grip. Fun to collect scales. Light as a neutron. Oh boy, we have fun. I mean Atom. Large-ish blade, made in USA, and everyone's favorite, a liner lock. Yay! We all still think liner locks are the best, right? Now, you might be wondering why I didn't get in on it, and all the other reviewers are riding that train early on. I guess, maybe I'm G10'd over liner locked out. And since it's YouTube, I'm not required by law to have a better reason other than my mood, which tracks between whimsy and outrage. But before we go any further, let's look at the best blue lines and numbers Final Cut Pro 7 can generate, like the overall length and weight, or Final Cut Pro 7, the reason I can't upgrade past Sierra. Little look behind the hood there. Blade size and cutting edge. Seems like a good time to talk about editing software and operating system compatibility. Am I right, guys? Handle size, grip area. I mean, if we can all agree on one thing, it's the Macintosh computers are the best. Spine thickness and handle thickness. Also, IPAs are the best tasting beer. And let's go for those tallnesses. And that we should all wear masks. In fact, let's just go down and check in the comments to confirm everyone is agreeing with me, like I think they are. Oh God. Whether it's explicitly said or not, the Atom is going after the paramilitary 2 crowd. Science versus shootin'. Okay, maybe the paramilitary 2 isn't the greatest example. I get that, Spyderco makes a few other more similar looking knives. Hey bro, have you tried the Native or the Shaman or the Manix? Great question. Tweaking that finger groove and or choil was a real game changer. Okay, I did borrow and review the Manix 2 a few years ago and figured I was pretty good. While it is a little more nuanced than the joke there, I get that the paramilitary 2 is the least visually similar of all those mentioned, but kind of the closest I have other than Tenacious, I believe. One day I'll make a video of knives I'm aware of but have no interest, and here's why. Anyway, I digress. All Three Rivers Manufacturing is doing is just asking you to skip the regularly scheduled DLT trading sprint run this month and try their knife instead. I know you need a 8th variation of a flat single color G10 over liners and a different satin finish steel that will never cut a single thing, but maybe you can sit this one out. And on paper and in practice, the Atom manages to slim down and lighten up its relative size to Spyderco's most prolific sprint run pattern. But the important thing is, do these things mean much to an everyday carry social media artist like yourself? Now, to me, these things really don't. But let me explain why while everyone is still fighting about the dimension segment, before they get mad about why I didn't like the knife they liked. It's not that I don't like it, it's just, why am I not more excited about the knife that they love? How about that? Let's start with the blade. The TRM has a longer cutting edge by about 0.2 of an inch over the PM2. Woo! The blade is made from crucible 20 CV steel, known for its long wearing edge, and the blade has a flat ground drop point style and a stone washed finish. The Atom is thinner behind the edge and has a thinner blade stock by a decent amount than the paramilitary 2, which should translate into a slicier blade for, I guess, nice shots of the knife next to some tomatoes. Thinner edges in theory are less durable to harder use because there is less material behind the edge. The PM2 up front has more finger protection when choking up than the large choil on the TRM, which just goes right up there to the edge. I found when cutting between the two, the Atom was a little better at slicing vegetables, even though I'm generally pretty terrible at it. The edge was factory when it got to me with a little light use, and I stroked it up a bit. Stroped. Okay, don't shoot me, but I wasn't blown away by the cutting power. However, feel free to stab me because it's more channel appropriate. I feel like I get a similar result from my Spyderco Caribbean. I shot the cutting out of order though, just so you know I didn't hit the cardboard first and sharpen it before I started slicing the vegetables. The apple and the tomato cutting was kind of the first cutting I did. Then I cut up the cardboard with some stroping in between, and then tried to cut some more vegetables, wasn't happy. Then I put it on my sharp maker. I'm not a sharpening or shaving porn knife guy. I generally put good working edges on my knives because they're general use blades. I won't be splitting hairs or trying for paper thin cuts on vegetables because none of that has a practical application for my uses. Sorry, I'm sensing a blowback here from the TRM cult, and you're using your pocket knife wrong, crowd. Lockup and deployment. I know I sound like an a-hole when I say this, but the Atom just isn't as fidgety as a PM2. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys, there are some sweet-ass titanium thumb studs that blow standard steel thumb studs out of the water. That said, liner locks are functional, but not as exhilarating when compared to the easy flipping of a well-broken-in compression lock. Compression locks are a patented Spyderco thing, so it's not like the Atom could use one. You may find one on a Gonzo one day, though. You'll have to dig your finger in that area a little to deploy. It's, not just a flick like the Spyderco. It's not bad, just not a hard flick pachow like out of the paramilitary. The compression lock also keeps your fingers out of the way when closing, too, because of its design. Just close and flick back. There isn't much of a speed advantage in the scheme of things. Who really cares? It's, kind of like a assisted and a non-assisted. Both of them are going to get you about the same place about the same time. Detent's okay, slightly weaker than the paramilitary too. It is possible to fling open downward. The handle. The handle on both is G10 over liners. Woo! TRM has a whole separate side hustle of making scales to put on this knife. Don't feel like JG10? You can buy a blue G10 to really spice things up, or maybe even a red if you're feeling naughty. That said, many people make scales for the paramilitary too. What I'm saying is there's just a lot of G10, micarta, and carbon fiber variations available for both knives to customize them any way you like. It's really an exciting time to be alive, guys. The sky's the limit, and I really mean this. Knock yourself out. The handle on the paramilitary 2 might be said to be restricting to much larger and more tactical hands than myself because it has that defined grip area, but it's really fine for a lot of people, even people who have absolutely no problem in the hand department like myself. The TRM is more neutraler and thinner in the hand. The grip goes all the way to the edge to the ass of the knife. It just doesn't quit. The liners on the TRM save weight over steel by being titanium. One of the things that must be noted is that it's thin, and the handle is bendable, as in if you hold and bend it like this, you can fix the blade centering or make it a lot worse. You can sort of do it on the paramilitary too. The thickness and the stainless steel liners are not as friendly to bending as the titanium is. It takes a lot more force. And the only reason I know this is someone had mentioned to me in the DMs when they noticed my centering was off that I could take the scales off and bend it. Well, I didn't have to take the scales off. The liners are nested and not skeletonized. Skeletonized liners can be goo traps, so I guess the Spyderco loses that one. Bring the Atom along if you're going to swirl it in a bucket of fish guts, I say. Of course, then you see all the fish guts under the scales in the wetness. Pocket clip is deep carry and titanium. No complaints on it being nice and snappy with a great tension. Slides in the pants very nicely until you want to remove it from your pants. Like a good knife should. Can we do the comparisons? Good. First, the Atom. Retails for about $200. You get a lighter knife with a better steel than the paramilitary 2 here. I'm sure there's a sprint run of 20 CV on a paramilitary 2. And the titanium parts that are more expensive than the Spyderco, which uses gross old stainless steel. Does it make a knife better? Well, its thinness and lightness are definitely quantifiable. Is the 4 ounces of the paramilitary 2 a huge disadvantage over the 3 ounces of the Atom? Maybe the thinness in the hand or the less defined, more neutral grip area is more better for you. But these are all subjective to the user, and I prefer the looks and the locking system on the paramilitary 2 to the Neutron. If the deep carry was your sticking point on the paramilitary 2, guess what? They make one. but it's not important to me because I haven't bought one. I've had this knife for years. Also, the Paramilitary 2 seen here is about $50 cheaper and easy to buy unless you're talking about those crazy sprint runs. Now, the Cold Steel Broken Skull actually does an important thing here. It's only about 4 grams heavier than the Atom because of its lack of liners, but it's got a longer cutting edge too. So it's a bigger knife and it's barely heavier. The Broken Skull is one of the best weight to blade ratios out there. Lighter than the Paramilitary 2 as well. It's a good steal. I know most people will say 20 CV is better. I get it, but still, S35VN is pretty good. Locking system is a little clunky on the Broken Skull versus the PM2 and the Atom. With a little bit of pivot adjustment and some flicks, it's doable to open and close with just a single hand. Not against your leg, which doesn't count as a hand. It's about $90 and has the thinnest handle of the 3. Now, the Civivi Asticus. Nice hollow grind, pretty sharp, nice big grip, nice big neutral grip. It has a cheap steel and costs about $60, you know, D2. No one's excited about that anymore. Got those nice Ghost or JG10 scales with, you know, that are goo traps for Fish Gut Friday. Now we're going to wrap it up. TRM makes these and they sell out fast. It's a very good knife that does a lot of things well. It slices well and it stropes up very easily. All the knives shown here do things better than the TRM depending on what you're looking for. Although the TRM does stuff better than all of them too. It's kind of a, it takes things from all those knives. You could say it's more well-rounded, maybe, than the other ones. I don't know. That's probably controversial too. I prefer the Broken Skull and the Paramilitary 2. Both are a bit more affordable and you can actually buy them and not have to wait in line. The TRM has a pretty big fan base now and it's great those people found something to latch on to that they like as the world burns. It's good for them. Something to love. If you like this sort of video, please subscribe. You can buy a t-shirt or a sticker or a mug through the links below. Not a well-designed one, but you know, you can still buy one, or you don't have to. Become a patron, which is a real lame club that really gets you nothing other than helps me foot the bill for the bullshit I buy. Like this, you know, with your small contribution. It's kind of like communism if you think about it. Maybe patronism. And everyone seems to agree and love communism, right? Like, subscribe, comment. Follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching.